Inside Story Uganda, real source of political updates. Inside Story Uganda.
Akyaliwo akayimba ako akawulemu ebitundu bibiri ayogera ku nnono obutaleeta bintu mu lubaale oba muki byebyo mbitegeera ti abantu abasinga obungi bagenda ne babagamba genda oteekebwa ekiti awo kikukuume ojje kiyisaliranga enkoko tebakubuulira nti oba majiini oba maki eyo paati ennungi. Paati ey'okubiri gye yagattamu ya byabufuzi byombi yabigatta byombi dishonest people naye yakagatta byombi
kyekigera kyekikafuula akuba
kali confusing.
oluyimba olulungi bwetyo olina okuba
yakolera bwereere
abantu obawa okulowooza.
no waliwo omusajja mu Nigeria mwalimu abasajja babiri Wolo Seyinka ne Chinua Achebe. Chinua Achebe African writers yawandikanga ebitabo byinga byangu ebya Wolo Seyinka ebitegeerekeka lwe luzungu lwa Nagenda. Kati ffe mawanga gano agaffe batugamba ti bw'obanga owandika olupapula lw'amawulire owandika luzungu lwa P6 to enable everybody okutegeera kyokola ki
kyogamba
kyoyogera. Oluzungu lwa Nagenda oluyimba lwa Sebatta nti everybody omuntu ajja genda nga amalekebera miningi ya kigambo
naye anti mu luyimba lwa Sebatta temuli kigambo kizibu nga bigambo bya Nagenda.
Nkugambye
ebigambo byonna byangu naye ekikulu
nze kati ndutegeera
interpretation kunoonyaamu makulu
tekuba kwa nalonda ngutegeera nti ngwe yekiggwa ne bawambuze basoberera nze mbitegeera. You must have that traditional knowledge olyoka ogireete. Naye njagala nnyo okubeera ku pulogulaamu zino. Lwaki pulogulaamu eno yemu ku muzeeyi Babuzi yagamba ti oba bakugu bizisigalewo. Ate ekyokubiri ndooza lwendifa ndiva ku pulogulaamu eno omanyi nti bampa obutwa era najja njavula okutuuka wano siwe nava mala emyezi nga sikola omwana wange tebamubeta ensolo bayiga nekimukuba. Naye olwaleero singa oyo omuwala akulira UCC ampisi singa kufe mbikuliko omulambo because these people mbonna nagenda nejambiya mu studio Did you expect me to go with a dancing skill when my son is battered? Why don't you empapula zonna teziwandiise ku mwana wange kuba kiguuni bakiragira yiga bajja mutta ekyo tekiriiko bajja kikuba bakikuba bakitte negye kiri embizi nabo bajja kiwoba tweyiga ajja kufa. That one I know. In less than a year it will be dead, it will be a corpse. Naye gwe yasoma nonga singa ngenzeeyo muwala gwe tubadde tetufuluma
kati ate wetubata kuyisa omunoonyaako ki
nti you do what? You come with a pang. Yes. Did you expect me to come with what?
Tamale bwebata kuyisa omunoonyaako ki
oyo omuwala aba kumpita singa ali mu coffin
anti takuyise
baba tujoga
oyo muleke kati
what type of human being is this? Mumpitangayo
tudde ku birala
mwe mwagala ngamba temu aba UCC remove the program
mami Tamale
bazijjeko tuyinza kubeera inhuman nti omusajja
kubanga
akabira omwana we yalese gwe nenkukwatako muwala gwe singa mumpiseeyo bayise embuga mumpitangayo
kati Tamale kyotajja kusobola kukola okimanyi kwe kugaana abantu okukola emirimu gyabwe.
Yes, but you must be understandable. Let me tell you, kankubuuliremu.
Kakati oluvannyuma you explain.
Computer singa mufu.
Kati tugende ku kirala.
Let me
no, leave you see salon tugende ku kirala.
Okimanyi. nti bayinza okugamba this man killed under the influence of beer ne bakifuula manslaughter. What if you find your wife sleeping with another man?
era nakyo tukirabyeko
Yes.
bingi ebibadde manslaughter.
Do you expect me to walk and dance to UCC when my son is battered? Bankubira wanesi. Muwala gwe njagala ozijjeko. Mpitanga yitutingana. Be understandable. Did this man walk with a pang before his son was battered? Were you seeing me with a pang?
Kati Tamale omuntu akulaba olaba naawe naye naawe beera nga reasonable. Omuntu akulaba yakulaba atya
Kuki?
anti kati ekyo okinnyonnyola.
Yes.
Owuliriza okinnyonnyola omuntu n'akitegeera. Kati nga bw'okyogera no listen omuntu kati awo omunnyonnyola era ne mu kkooti abantu abasize emisango bwe gityo bamala kugenda kumatiza mulamuzi.
Sigendayo mba kugendayo singa mu UCC mulimu omulamu.
Njagala kubuuza Tamale kyogamba
ekanokoze
tofunangako omusango gukuyisa mu
andi
kkooti.
nkubuulire nze ngenda mu kkooti
tofunangako omusango gukuyisa mu
ngendayo
kkooti
era tebansobola. But you see, for me,
naye ng'ogendayo
I'm a reasonable man. I have to understand buno bwana buto Museveni yaleeta obujingajinga kano kanakakuba kano kali buwala.
tovuma bantu Tamale kyesijja kukkiriza kwe kusinziira wano omuntu retract
sisobola jiggale bungende emakiwa pasoni alina okumanya bantu oli musajja mukulu
naye okuvuma saagala osinzire wano kuno omuntu ekyo tukikkaanyeeko.
But understand, how would this man react? Nti bakubye omwana wange enkya ngendere mu ddiba nga nzina. Do you have security here? Are you searched? Have you heard that in the United States somebody invaded a studio and killed the people? Pagezi wa president abagamba. But this Sam, Mirundi under the njokwata amawulire obwaka mboboloze.
Tamale, it's dangerous. Chochikirize.
So mawulire.
Era it's dangerous.
Makatabo kange.
Kubanga nange wano nga wayengidde ne Jambia. Nkutya.
Yes. Have you ever seen me hurting anybody?
Ngamba nga wayengidde nayo. Siyinza butakutya.
Mumpiti.
Ogambye power of Ugandan mafia obanve we tutandikira. The power of Ugandan mafia. Akonno ke katabo kuliko ebifaananyi bina. Kakati kamala okulaba eno. Kafuluma 218 si kyekyo. Zirikete ya 218. Kifaananyi ndabako kya Right Honorable Speaker Kadaga yaliko Vice President Her Excellency Specioza Kaziwe. Ndabako ekifaananyi kya Oweekitiibwa Katikkiro wa Buganda Peter Mayiga nendabako n'ekifaananyi kya Mwami Kitatta 218. Tutandise oba okayina naawe oyinza okugoberera. In all my books, I always attribute my independent character and my unique way of looking at things to two factors: my father's wisdom and my home village Karagala, which it's with its people. In my books, I usually affirm that my behavior was majorly influenced by my father's character. Mzee Mirundi was popularly referred to as chief, and majority of residents used to refer their problems and disputes to him. My father was not so religious and never attended church sermons regularly except on big church services. Except on big days such as Christmas. Mirundi was a very fair and honest man. Mirundi always provided solutions to what appeared to be complex issues, and he eventually earned immense respect. He operated like a village judge. On the other hand, Kalagala village had all sorts of characters. These included celebrated cannibals and witch doctors who, by the time I came of age, had developed thunder technology. Since I always spend most of my time at home, I rarely miss these village court sessions. I also often traveled around with him. This is the reason why I developed unrivaled closeness to ordinary people. Many of the cases my father confronted rotated around malice and falsehood. This is also a reason why I hate malicious individuals. Other cases include marriage disputes and disagreements over land boundaries. However, one of the people that attracted my attention was a man named Kajua. Kajua's house was a short distance from my home. One other striking phenomenon at the time was that many enjoyed battering their spouses, while women too believed that battering them was an expression of love. In fact, there was a common saying that a man who doesn't beat his wife does not love her. Omusajja bw'atakukuba abeera takwagala. Women also believed that possessiveness or kububa was good. However, majority of men, especially drunkards, killed their wives in the practice of beating them, majorly for fear of embarrassment or arrest by police. Injured women, especially those who were pregnant, could not speak out or access treatment. This resulted into death. Such information, however, would remain concealed, and the cause could be only referred to as sudden death. Ekikutuko. Interestingly, many would remarry after killing their wives. Surprisingly, some men remarried from families of their deceased wives. One incident that intrigued me is when Kajua quickly married a second wife after battering his first wife to death. Within 6 months, the second wife also died, and Kajua remarried. At this point, however, villagers became suspicious and banished him from the village. When I joined the government 15 years ago, I confronted a similar situation. People who had been used and dumped conducted themselves like these illiterate village women. Instead of divorcing their brutal and abusive husbands, they preferred to stay. Even after the horror, humiliation, and death of the first wife, they willingly rushed to sleep with killers. Mafia politics. Much like the women I mentioned earlier, Uganda's politicians usually stay in government offices even after they have been humiliated by the mafia gang. The question is why. One psychologist developed what is called the Stockholm syndrome. The theory was derived from a 1973 botched bank robbery in Stockholm. Stockholm syndrome is a condition that causes hostages to develop a tendency to bond, identify, and sympathize with their kidnappers. A young woman was held hostage but was later found to have developed affection towards her captor. The man had sexually abused her for several days. He used it to lock her inside the house, and therefore neighbors could not detect the criminal activity that was happening in the neighborhood. After several days, the woman in distress was discovered by a plumber who had been called to do some repairs inside the house. The plumber alerted police, who laid an ambush to apprehend the culprit. When the kidnapper returned, the police stormed the dungeon. To their surprise, the woman fought off police. Psychologists explained the action of the woman as a syndrome which affects a person who has been exposed to constant abuse. It is explained that to such a victim, abuse becomes normal. Secondly, the victim attributes his or her survival to the captor. This is what happens in government. The mafia humiliates people, but much like illiterate village women, individuals remain in offices despite constant humiliation. Have witnessed highly educated people who are dismissed from lucrative jobs and offered peripheral roles which they go on to take. Why mafia dominate and control the state?
Nfuuka advisor nkomewo mbakolere ejjookulya bweri bali mu mutwe nagaana nenkugamba nti nze waffe ku kyalo I was shaped by the village. I was shaped by the wisdom of my father. My father bamwitanga chief. My father was like a village lawyer. My father was a judge. Mirundi nga every reference point a just man nga bagireeta waffe kati baganda bange bo baavaayo. I'm one of the last borns. Nabeera nnyo ne taata wange for a long time. That's why I was shaped by the village. Baganda kugamba natunuulira abasajja babonyaabonyanga nnyo abakazi okuba emiku bagondi nga abakazi bagamba nti musajja atakuba abatakwagala. Waliwo omuti baguyita omuseerere, ogumanyi omuseerere? Ebikola byagwo babivumbikanga mu kyoto nga abakazi bebeyambisa okuba omusaayi gutambule. Omuseerere okuvumbika mu kyoto anti babakubanga emigu ne bakulootinga ebibenyigisa
omusaayi ne guta.
Basambanga abakazi ab'embuto nga tagenda kufuluma tamutwala mu ddwaliro. Kukyali waffe kwaliko omusajja nga mwita nkwijanzabe. Sanzabe yali musajja muziba naye nga amanyi okufumba muwogo namugjamu amazi nagakuba wenzi kumwe ki PPF ngenzikutte nkwijanzabe leka nkwijanzabe naye bakubanga abakazi ne babatta tagenda mu ddwaliro bamusambye as you are doing now. Ti omwana mukubyeko katono olumutwala mu ddwaliro dokita nakuba essimu ku polisi ne bakwata. Do you know that many children are dying without getting a treatment? Anti bwana amukuba oba omukazi nga gyamutudde mu kiriniki bakubira polisi. You don't know the adverse effect that many children are dying. Ne babaziika mwana yalakawa nti yalakagindi. Why? Ati omukwata for you mudambi ya kizungu. Ati Kajwa yali kukyali waffe ng'ennyumba ziringa 2. Kajwa yakuba mukazi we n'amutta. Mu myezi 6 n'awasa omulala naye n'amukuba n'amutta. Mu myezi 6 n'awasa omulala. Omu omulambo yagusuula mu nnimiro, omulala n'amusuula mu ffumbiro. Naye ekyalo kyatuula ne kigaa nti nedda bwana kaggwa Kajwa olina amayembe. This is what Museveni is facing. Kada katayinza kuba mubi, Mbabazi n'aba mubi, Besigye n'aba mubi, buli omu ne Mirundi Kayibula n'aba mubi, Tamale Mirundi n'aba mubi. It can't. People go back and review as they have reviewed now. Why is it that whoever delivers committed service to this government turns out to be bad? This is the verdict my village has made in Karagara. That Kajwa no. One of your wives died while digging in the garden. The other one died while cooking in the kitchen. The other one has been found in your bed. Kajwa no. Abajamani balina omusajja nga bamuyita Gondi Shuluda. Yawasa abakazi 3. Basajja bamukuba akalango nti Gondi nedda. All the 3 women can't be wrong. Kadaga is bad. Mbabazi is bad. Tamale Mirundi is a drunkard. Is Kayibula a drunkard? Is Besigye a drunkard? As my village has sat in Karagara to evaluate the situation, Ugandans have sat to evaluate the situation. Nabaganti Janko Zakataba, she's very well representing you. Nakadaka, for you to bet into Mutwe, Sisula Given. Someone Narukantima. Ungobiamo Fubira, Tosola Kunjo, and they are sitting younger you. But I wonder, highly educated people. Baba Joga, never join him, whenever Joe said, never join him, whenever Joe said, I fought a 7-year battle, which is yielding fruits. The president has realized that there was a subterfuge in his government. Waliwo ke baalese n'entwe ate era ngenda kukuba era meeting gye mwabaddemu ne chairman bwana walutwetwe era ngenda ngiteeka ku social media bakaleese kagambye munamusanze asimayiringa n'alyoka ambokolera nebakaleeta n'obusweraswera ennyuma nze wangoboodya wangoboodya mwamuga nti eddogotera ebiriyo bakaleese n'entwe yako n'entwe oba nakalema yabadde luddawa nakalema naye lwaligenda buli eyansongamu olwo katweyongereyo emyaka 7 abo akibuzibwa ati nti okola mu president's office ojjawo pulogulaamu zange ate
tweyongereyo. Why mafia dominate and control the state? Mafia dominates and controls the state using the practice of overwhelming individuals. This is usually applied when the mafia well understand the person appointed by the president, especially the financial muscle of their target. Usually, once a poor or underserving person is given a big position in government, he or she develops what is called the arrivalism. He or she quickly switches lifestyle, abandons old friends, and embarks on ivory tower projects. Baganda used to refer to this phenomenon as okugwa mu bintu, fear of sliding back into poverty.
Nze nabatuli emyaka 10 but I'm happy. Baali bakoze ekibiina nga bagita fellowship nekikuba n'ekijjawo. The fellowship is now divided. Tulina abasajja abakulu abasazeewo tusi this country edevelopinga kubanga tebalina way out. Tulina emisango wano abalina emisango gy'okukusawo organize. Somebody was telling them temujja kukola nga appeal buli kaseera, but if your names are mentioned you were under investigation by ICC over killing people, obatwala eyindi yango ina company yo. What if Ugandans demanded their children? That is a short-term strategy, a stupid strategy. Naye nze ndi happy tibinalwanira kati mbagamba tikyobola baba bajooga abakazi b'edda baali tebasobola kwekolera kajjo yattanga n'ono natta n'olinatta. Kakati tulina ekye tuyita bamafiya bafuga batya ensi lwaki bajooga abantu. The politics overwhelming. Tibagenda ne bakusanga webbanda abamawulire bano babakozeseza ne babajooga ne babalya ku mitwe ne bavanyalako gwe baali bakujooza
Teliana asobola.
Why? You do your work. If today President Museveni makes a cabinet and names a new cabinet, naga Tamale Mirundi, do you think I organize a party? I'm educated. I'm entitled to it. Kakati ate waliwo ya gamba nti yasoose banango mukonja asoose banango muganda asoose bananga ani asoose. Kakati abo tujita the politics of overwhelming. Bakuwa ekintu kyewali tosuubira. Kakati buli lwolowooza kivaamu olowooza nti kya kinene. This is why for me I have not gone to the president's office for 7 years because toyinza kunkuba mu state busate ngende wansi waba sigendayo, but I continue serving you. Kakati nze ffe abatali overwhelmed, generation never overwhelmed. I'm entitled to it. I'm educated. I look for votes. So I'm not overwhelmed. Kakati ba mafia beyambisa nnyo the politics of overwhelming. Tikyobadde tosubira. Didn't I tell you? Didn't I tell you, you people? Didn't I tell you that we have something for you? Nakujogerako nakufuula embwayi nakunyalako nakunia ku mutwe kubanga bakuwadde obwa minisita. Sikisobolazi. Kakati ekyo kyenda kugamba okisomye eki?
Nkisomye.
The politics of ki?
Politics of overwhelming.
Yes. Nti bakuwadde kinene nnyo kyewali tosubira mu famire yo.
Tweyongeddeyo fear of sliding back into poverty in Africa. Business deals depends on one's closeness to government. Take, for example, the late former Vice President Dr. Samson Kiseka. He owned the best modern farms in Uganda. However, immediately after he was sacked from government, his modern farms vanished, and what remains is his grave. Dr. Kiseka's widow was saved from starving to death by President Museveni, who brought her back to Uganda from USA. Her relative who was living with her in USA was arrested by police for illegal stay, leaving the older woman in the house and depending on handouts from generous neighbors. As for Dr. Kiseka, he had to sell his hospital to government in order to survive. His successor, Dr. Specios Wandera Kaziwe, also suffered a big blow when she was shown the exit. Before falling from grace to grass, Speciosa was a good-looking woman with big rolling eyes. Her success in modern farming hit headlines, with publications labeling her as a celebrated farmer. Spe, short for Speciosa, had a flourishing banana plantation as well as a piggery and a poultry farm from which she supplied several government departments. By the way, what happened to the famous Naigaga market? All is no more. When the mafia decided to steal money, they looked for her and rebranded her. This time again, she has been taken for a ride. Speciosa was almost detained in a hotel for failing to pay bills while on a trip to Rwanda. I was not surprised when Sunday Monitor offered her a full-page interview. My prediction is that she is being rehabilitated for another assignment. During the maligning sessions against her, she was accused of stealing Valley Dam funds, and a building near Makerere University was named Bidiba on false allegations that it belonged to her. Extension of privileges.
Nkubuulira nti lwaki muba bajooga kati bamala okujja mu bwavu ne bakunazaako enfuufu bayina okuga nti borrow money mu banka. I don't have a loan, I don't have an overdraft. Kubamba money eyinja byokubira manager esimu. No, don't mind, we are handling it. Naye olunaku lwova mu buyinza bebakubuulira oba bakugubye babakoze mpaka mutunulye Kiseka yina faamu nnungi ennyo. Kiseka okumanya faamu ye yali modern, bantu bagendangayo nogikyalira nga ettaka ngaekiseka faamu ye erina pipes nga zikolera ku sola, ettaka bwe lyagwangamu amazzi nga zeteekako zokka. Modern farm in Africa. Kiseka omulimi omukuukuutivu. Naye Kiseka bwe bamugoba mu gavumenti, dokita omutendeke ng'alina n'eddwaliro. Where is the hospital? Where is the farm? Kiseka yasigazaawo bwe bamuziika wokka. He begged Museveni to buy his hospital. Kiseka mukazi we yagenda amuzukulu yamujja wano namutwala mu America ng'ali